Hey Tom, so Nintendo in Japan just released a brand new overview trailer for Game Builder Garage. It doesn't really show off a ton new necessarily, but it does show it off in better detail than ever before. So I thought it'd be fun for us just to get together and talk about the trailer and more about the game. In real time, we're actually watching the trailer together right now, and just give our over thoughts on it, including some of the games we saw in here. So yeah, Tom, what are you thinking so far about Game Builder Garage?
It looked very easy to use in this trailer. Like, it looked very friendly to drag nodes together. It almost seems like the nodes itself match one-to-one with the game. Like when you see here in this screen, everything overlays properly. I wonder if that's just coincidence or it actually happens that way.
Yeah, let me head back there to the screen. This screen, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like you set up all the different objects for things to happen. I wonder what the bow node on there is doing.
Yeah.
It could be some sort of trigger, but you see all the different ledges and stuff. That's very intuitive to set up a game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what they have going on here. And like I said before, it's very similar to what Labo Garage or the Garage Mode Labo VR did, only it seems much more user-friendly here, especially because they walk you through what to do. But yeah, it seems to be a pretty clever, graphical interface for what seems to be essentially programming. Like, you are making these games, and that's what they're showing here. Like, they set up for this platforming game, which I forget, we had a name for it before in the English version. I forget if we remember what that was.
I thought it was some tag battle.
Yeah, that was like tag team or something, or some tag thing. It's every time we see it, there's always something a little bit different about this game. Like, we've seen it in a few different ways now. There's always like now we have balloons and apples floating around. But yeah, so as you kind of touched on, there's like, I believe, did they say 100 nodons or over 50? I forget what the trailer said. There's a lot of nodons.
Yeah, there's a massive amount. I can't help but see the Mega Man hard hat enemy with that hard hat nodon.
Oh yeah, the one right down there with the
eyes. Yeah, it's like peeking. In that trailer, I guess the bow ones would be representative of the balloons and like an object dragged them, but yeah, it looks kind of not too bad to set up. I'm guessing there's some nodon that you'll use all the time, and there'll be a few that you use only in a very specific situations, like only sometimes.
Yeah, like the control stick one, you're going to be using that pretty much constantly because that's how you define what the control stick does. I think this other one might be for a button press.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure or not. But yeah, some of these are going to be seeing more often than not. That one seems to be, like a timer or something, a clock?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. There's going to be some you're going to be using almost across every project, whereas others are going to be more sensitive to the exact context of what you're doing. But yeah, giving them like little personalities, like little graphical, like personal icons, definitely is going to make it easier to recognize them, which is kind of a problem with the original Labo VR Garage, where it didn't have that. It was more just labeled, and it was a little tricky to keep in mind, I think, what was what, or at least I imagined it would be. I took one look at that interface, I'm like, nope, I'm out. I can't deal with this.
I remember seeing screenshots of it. It was like, my eyes, like, it felt like no anti-aliasing on all the tiny thin lines. Like, with this, it makes sense sometimes to have it in text, but if you zoom out and you want to see a quick idea of the whole thing, it's going to be easier with these icons and rather text-based descriptions for everything.
Yeah, you're one who you're making your own game right now, and yeah. I believe you mentioned before some of the interface does look a little bit similar to this. How does this seem to you? Like, does this seem even more user-friendly than what you've been working with?
I think this seems a bit more user-friendly. With me, in the tutorials that I learned, it kind of shifted to code-based instead of just using the drag and drop all the time, but there are nodes that expand from, let's say, an object, and there'll be a line to its sprite, or maybe to what's called a parent object for what it inherits abilities from. Mm-hmm. But this looks all a lot easier and more friendly to use, really.
It does. Even for me, I have no experience with programming. It's making sense here, even though it is in Japanese, which, by the way, we didn't translate most of this, so we don't know what exactly it's saying. We're just inferring what's going on. But yeah, you can see that you attach the nodons to to other objects, I suppose, in order to assign the properties or how the nodon influences those objects. So yeah, it's just a kind of really clever way of going about everything here, and we already see some of the results early into the trailer, which we had seen before. Most of the games shown here we had already seen before, but they deserve more mention because we have this shooting game, which is a little bit like one of the Street Pass Plaza games. I forget which one it was. Defense Force or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Then we get the awesome bomb blasting game. And it's just wild. Like, you're going to see a variety. We've already seen a variety of games, but throughout this trailer even, we're going to see, you know, a wide variety of games of higher quality than before. That is like, wow, you made all of this with, you know, within the same creation tool set. Like, I'm still impressed with how diverse it is. And I say that within the context of knowing it will be this diverse because we'd already seen some incredible creations in Labo VR Garage. It's just you couldn't share them in that game, and now you can here, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a big feature for it. I mean, being able to share your work and your games and get feedback, that's a huge part of playing games. And if it's very hard to get that feedback, your game's not going to be as good. Yeah.
Exactly. So we can see, I mean, yeah, we can see how they're just resizing objects in real time here, which is translated into the 3D actual like game part of it.
That reminds me of Mario Maker a bit. It's like resizing the objects to be giant. Probably they might have used that as a bit of inspiration.
If only they had the super mushroom from Mario Maker you could drag onto things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're here. They're showing the process of creating a platformer. They're actually setting up the stages via the interface, which you can see, as you were kind of touching on earlier, like aligns with their 3D representation or representation in the actual game space. It looks like they set up the screen boundaries here too. At least that seems to be my take on it. You can see like the borders of the screen, which is at least that's what I assume it is.
It could also be where the camera is locked to, like it can't go any further past those points or zoom out. It does have a camera node on at the top there.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's probably more accurate to what it is. So good catch there. So yeah, you can make your own like Mario-style platformer here, which. I mean, who needs Mario Maker when you can just make any game here, right? Including Mario Maker stages.
I'll bring up one quick, the music note on the. I'll bring up one quick concern is that we're doing all this, or they are, in a grid-based system. Would it be better to be doing it like live with the 3D parts themselves? I wonder if if there was a toggle to grab the actual blocks and see it, or how quick it's going to be to go back and forth between them.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do wonder how the orientation is going to work in the 3D space. In Labo VR, you actually could swap to a 3D editor as well at points. So I would think that might be here as well, because why would you ditch that feature? Especially because I feel like it would be tricky to arrange these objects purely in 2D, and see how that corresponds in 3D. But I could be mistaken, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully they'll have some kind of like 3D interface. Here we go, here we get the Fall Guy, a better look at the Fall Guys game. This is straight up Fall Guys, except instead of fruit, you're dodging balls. Also, there's been like a few Mario Party mini games like this as well. Fall Guys didn't invent the idea of running up a slope with things falling at you, but I wouldn't be surprised if that did play a role in its inspiration for a game that the developers created themselves here. And look, you can see like what look to be Mario World mountains in the background.
Yeah, and you got some ridiculously cute birds on the right-hand side.
Oh yeah, like the rubber duckies.
Yeah, rubber duckies.
Oh, they're blinking too.
Yeah,
oh wait, no, yeah, they actually.
And they open their mouths.
Yeah, you're right. They're actually straight up birds. Adorable. Look, one of the creators or developers made Picross in this game, which. I mean, I feel like there's enough Picross games out there, but it does show the power of this. We can make even, a simple game in quotes in this, which I'm sure is pretty complex to actually, program. So
yeah.
But Tom, here we are at the highlight of it all. This is actually, we saw things that look like We Play Tanks before. This looks far more like We Play Tanks than anything we had seen prior to this, where you're straight up playing as what I assume is at least one tank here, shooting other tanks roaming around. Oh, this brings back memories.
What I don't get, there's 2 scores at the top. Is this like a 4-player game? Because you have one tank that shoots another tank, and like you have tanks going against each other. It's not just like 1 against 3 of them. See, that top one just shot down below, so...
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I mean, it does seem to be at least 2 players, so where is the other player tank? Oh, maybe, I guess it was maybe the one that got destroyed, perhaps, being another darker color. I don't know who's who in this case.
Yeah,
but... it doesn't matter. I'm excited at the possibilities. The only thing, Tom, that unfortunately the trailer doesn't show off is whether the bullets ricochet. Because What?
I was going to say that if they can ricochet, if you can have that diabolical tank that can actually do the double ricochet and figure that AI
God.
out. If Game Builder Garage is powerful enough to do that, then I am thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, that's really the question. If you can like fully recreate We Play Tanks, visually this looks close. But yeah, if you can ricochet bullets, and that's straight up We Play Tanks, and I'm never playing any other game again as part of the Game Builder Garage. I'm making We Play Tanks. That's it. I'm done. All right, moving on. We get another look. We saw this in the previous trailer too. I don't even know what this is. It's some kind of like weird. I don't know, it's a platforming game, a walking simulator, but we can see the text on the buildings now, which includes Nodon, which are the little nodes we already referenced, but also some signs that look like they say Nintendo or Nintendo on them, at least, yeah. As a alien creature flies by in the background, I don't know.
Yeah, I would guess this is almost like a 2D RPG, or like walking around a town, kind of like... was it Zelda 2, or I'm thinking Wonder Song, like just going around, maybe you'll talk to NPCs or something. Like, it doesn't really look like an action platformer.
It doesn't, and yeah, it's funny that we're speculating on things that probably aren't even in the game, because I don't think, because I don't, I mean, for all we know, like only the core lessons are here,
yeah.
That they walk us through, but you know, maybe that one is one of the core ones. I'm actually not sure. But I do hope that the developers making these games share, you know, the ones in the trailer, share the codes for them if they're not already in the games. I would love to check those out and see actually like how close were we to figuring out how they work or not, right?
Yeah.
So we get more of this tag game, I think, and we can see there you have a wall jump function here, or it looks like it. The blue guy just bounced up to the wall. Bam! Look at that. So it's almost like he's ricocheting himself like a bullet in We Play Tanks.
Either that or he has a double jump.
But that could be too.
Probably wall jump though.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it's hard to say. You're right. It could be either or. We're gonna look at the UFO game we talked about a lot. Again, these all seem to be parts of the games that are are tutorialized, or you know that basically you build yourself in the game. They all have their own logo, and here is showing you the what looks to be the step-by-step creation process that they're moving on to step 4 right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, let's say with Labo, building Labo, that was excellent instructions that you go forward and back in. I hope it's really easy to do something similar while going through these levels.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's really going to come down to the tutorials that will make this game playable. Because like I said, Labo VR, there have been some incredible creations using its garage mode, but I myself was completely lost in how it worked. Yeah. So if they walk you through step by step, you know, how these games actually work and build so you understand it, I think it's going to be a huge step in getting you into making your own game. So
yeah, WarioWare DIY had a fantastic tutorial, I think, with the butterfly game, but that was a really long tutorial. At least it was entertaining though.
Yeah, good point. Exactly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to compare how these tutorials compare to WarioWare DIY and see if like they are easier. What I do like here, at least, is the games you're making here are a little bit more robust than the ones in WarioWare, where you spent like what, months to make a 5-second micro game.
Yeah, it's there's a bit more potential payoff here.
Yeah.
I liked in that previous screen how all the nodons and the line connections, they kind of shook together and they kind of bounced. Like, see, I wonder if that's just them, like where you're saving it, or only special for the trailer.
Yeah, that's a good one. This does look to be like it's part of the game, just with like trailer overlays. Yeah, so I think it's probably part of a tutorial, but alright, I don't know what's happening here. Some kind of flag icon or something.
Is it choosing a save spot for your game, or is that maybe something like levels, multiple levels?
Maybe. And yeah, I don't even know what it's clearly demonstrating something. Maybe the goal. Maybe it represents like the goal conditions, with you getting the apple being it. I don't know. I'm just
that's a bit of a weird game because he's just standing there and the apple scrolls to him.
What a great game. All right, here we go. Yeah, so we were seeing a look at the games that they just showed off. I'm so excited that there seems to be a racing game that's like one of the ones seemingly that they'll walk you through, because I mean that seems like such a great setup for how to make any a number of other games, right? Like just having a vehicle you can drive around can lead to so many possibilities.
I'm wondering if if it's like a 2D setup laid flat for that. Because we see very 2D interfaces, it makes sense to do like a Mode 7 type thing like F-Zero and just have that type of representation. So you're working on it maybe in a top-down fashion.
That's a good point, actually. That would simplify a lot of things. Like, well, I was gonna say even like this stage, which yeah. I mean, I guess this is 2D, but yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. I love how they're just throwing in like a bunch of assets here. Like these all seem to be lifted from Labo VR Garage again, or Labo VR in general. You've got the car, you've got the creepy Cyclops creature, which is also cute at the same time. The treasure chest, top left, you can see the bomb left of or the bomb portion of the bear, which is in the jump scare game in Labo VR. So
it's like going to the asset store and making Labo Simulator instead of Goat Simulator.
Exactly. Here we have looks to be the music screen where you can choose from a variety of tracks. It looks like.
Yeah. The downside is that choosing notes or tracks as you go along time. It's the 1.0 at the bottom. That might be volume.
Yeah, that could be. What I wonder is that SFC acronym, does that stand for Super Famicom?
That's got to be like
Probably
a
not.
Super Famicom tune, is my guess.
Maybe. Speaking of racing, I love how this track looks. You know what this actually reminds me of? It reminds me of the secret slide in Tall Tall Mountain, where you had stars in the it was a black landscape, you had stars in the background, and like moons and stuff floating around. So this just looks like a fun area as there's a racetrack they set up. So yeah, this is like, oh, and they're even collecting coins. See that? This is their Mario Kart. They made Mario Kart.
Do you go faster with the coins, or is the goal to get a certain amount of coins?
I'm not sure. That could be the case. A little bit like Excite Bike or Excite Truck rather, where instead of trying to just win, you're trying to collect, get the most points. Here we get a better look at the sprite creator, which is awesome. I love that they're including this, but this is going to lead to so much variety in the games you can create, rather than just being stuck with pre-made assets. You can make your own. And in this case, we're used in this weird fighting game, which the health still doesn't deplete here, Tom. I think it's the same clip from before. I just want to see the health drop.
maybe the game's not just done yet. It's just testing still. But
that could be.
In the sprite creator, it's weird. There's a Z value. It's like, can you draw in behind things, or is that for maybe a 3D effect?
Yeah, that's a good question. How does that? Yeah, because right in 2D, X and Y are your axes.
Yeah.
Whereas Z is the third dimension. So I wonder how that's gonna factor in. We don't see it. It looks like it's not being used in either of these cases. Maybe it's just could it be used for scale, perhaps?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And also there's kind of like it's not just pixel art. It looks like there's a brush pen tool there too, so you can get maybe some more artistic creations in.
Good point.
Or like just a different style of it. I mean, pixel art is very hard to pull off well, even though it looks easy, but not so easy.
And to that point, spoilers for the end of the trailer, but we already knew this. You can connect a mouse to this game, to your Switch, and use that, which I imagine will be pretty helpful for making these sprites.
Yeah, that'll be a huge helper. Oh, there's I guess that paint brush one, I guess, is for a sprite or maybe your own creation up top.
Oh yeah, the painting Nodon you're talking about,
yeah,
right?
Painting Nodon.
Yeah.
And this is a bit different where it's not quite one-to-one over the scene, but there's things around it. So maybe that's a way of dealing with your workspace where your scene is in one area, then you can connect things to it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we can see the character, exists outside of the scene, which is obviously part of it once you get in there. This game specifically definitely reminds me, I think, of a Mario Party 2 or Mario Party 3 game where you're catching fruit that fall from a tree or from trees above.
Yeah, even the recent Super Mario Party, playing that online with catching the fruit and blocking it from the guy below. Kind of a different take on that.
Exactly. I love this part, Tom. We talked about it before, but now we actually get to see it at a resolution higher than 16 by 16, where they recreated the world from, or the world effect from Animal Crossing, where you're on a rolling log as a tree, very evocative again of Animal Crossing, complete with 3 fruits, rolls into view. I love that. Like, that's just such a cool thing. Like, I mean, I don't know what all you can do with this idea, but I just love that you can make it happen.
It hints a lot of the versatility of Game Builder Garage and what you can do, where it's not just like a limited thing. Like, if you have a vision for something unique, maybe you can pull it off with a bit of ingenuity.
Right. I mean, in this case, I imagine all they did was, we may even see it later, they just take like a giant cylinder, like, because there's different shapes in the game, they just put you on it and the tree with it, and then have some kind of camera logic where it's where the camera seems to only go in one direction, or along one axis, I suppose. So
yeah, maybe it just follows the player, and the player just is stuck to the ground.
Exactly. Next up, we have this tank shooting thing, which doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot here, but looks like you can drive a tank around and shoot, so that's cool. And we can see the wheels turn inward at the end, suggesting it would be going somewhere. And I think we actually did see it move in the previous trailer. Get a better look at the soccer game. You know, it's soccer, not a whole lot to say, but like I said earlier in the previous discussion, you could make your own version of Rocket League here. Just throw in those cars instead of these human guys, and there you go. And we have this. I don't think we saw this one before.
This is like a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. We're playing. It's almost like Flappy Bird. Is it? Or it looks like a bird to me. I guess it's more of a spaceship. Bird spaceship thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess a bird spaceship. I was going to say low-end Kid Icarus.
Pretty much, exactly. I love it. Low-end Kid Icarus. I don't even fully know what's going on here. You have those like Tetris shapes almost on the left. Weird game. All right, here we got we saw this in the previous trailer again, where you're just shooting. It looks like you're playing as that oil rig platform thing. I don't know, defense platform, shooting at this giant boss. Which, speaking of Kid Icarus, this actually reminded me of Kid Icarus too.
Yeah.
Like some of the boss fights.
I'm gonna call it kaiju defense game, like Godzilla type situation.
I love how the sun is just barely peeking up over it too. It almost reminds me a bit of the Monolith scene from 2001, where it's like a low angle and you're looking up at it with the sun peeking up right over the top of it. That's kind of cool. All right. We saw. God, I don't want to talk about this game anymore. We spent forever trying to figure out what the hell is going on here, and we finally did, but kind of. This Neon City still looks so cool, especially again at full screen resolution now. I don't know what you're doing here. We can see that car driving by again. Like, a lot of these clips are straight up from the previous trailer, just in higher quality now.
Yeah, I can't wait for somebody to recreate like a section of Grand Theft Auto in Game Builder Garage.
Where you're just like running over these space alien guys.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. We saw this again previously, again now in higher quality, where there's a heart behind this creepy looking creature that you're trying to get to, I suppose. And here we get a look at what I assume is your save screen, like the Mario Maker robot, where all the games you've created, I assume, are listed here.
Yeah, and there's another horror-like game in the bottom left corner.
Yeah, that's creepy looking, jeez. And then... Go ahead.
I was going to say also the snowboarding type one and the bear and frog one that they were jumping, and we weren't really too sure on that one.
Yeah, and we're still not. We're no closer to arriving at a conclusion for what it was. So I think they're showing the upload interface here, I believe, where they're sharing the games online. You get the game code, you can share that game code with other people who your friends or whoever who have the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized, how cool would it be if people didn't need the game to play these games? Like, if you could send them, like, sample, well, I guess it wouldn't be samples, it'd be the full game still. But it'd be cool if people could, like, see the games in some way without having to own the game.
Oh, yeah, like with WarioWare DIY, where you can kind of get the preview thing on the Wii. But the thing is, with this one, the game is a lower cost, so I think they're keeping it down to get more people picking it up and trying it to be able to play other people's games, is my guess.
That's a good point, and especially considering for a lot of people the main appeal will be playing games rather than making them. It wouldn't make a ton of sense for Nintendo at least, if you could just play those without having to buy the game at all. And here we go, we see the mouse in use. Sorry, go ahead.
And I want to go back quickly. In Japan, they have some sort of cards for the game, like I don't know if they're hint cards, or they might have instructions for them in like a deluxe version. They get a fancier version in Japan.
I know. I'm a little bit jealous. So what are these cards about? For some reason, it reminds me of the Earthbound cards that came with the player's guide, but they were scratch a sniff. And I remember, like, even 10 years later, mine still worked. I don't know if they do these days. Probably not. Yeah, Japan always gets the cool stuff.
It reminds me of like an e-reader card, except no, that's not happening these days.
Yeah, not so much. And then, yeah, then here we see the mouse plugged into the Switch. I assume any USB mouse would work, would be my guess, or most mice at least. And that's it. That's the end of the trailer. So, Tom, what do you think overall? Like, do you have a better understanding of how it works based on this, even though it is in Japanese? Did you learn anything? Did it make you even more excited than before?
It gave me a better idea of how things might work in this. I think it's about... I'm maybe a bit more excited, because sometimes it's hard when you can't visualize it and wondering, like, is it going to be super tough? This kind of helped me think that, you know, it is going to be possible. Like, maybe here there's going to be, like, 40 different objects in the level. Like, hopefully it's something that's manageable and super quick to put things together, prototype, iterate, and go over it all over again.
Exactly. I am really, really excited for this. Like, it just gets my creative juices flowing, and I hope that once I have an understanding through the tutorials on how to make these games, I'll be able to make some cool things myself. Because I really had like a ton of fun with Mario Maker, and one of my favorite things in that game to do was try to recreate other games within the context of Mario Maker, and I think it might be fun to do something similar to that here as well. Like, can I make my version of, you know, Rocket League or Mario Kart or, you know, Tetris or whatever, or, you know, and then even using that as a base to build my own games, like seeing what I can do with it, and seeing how long that might take, you know. So yeah, I think this could be like a really just fun opportunity for people of all ages, and especially kids, I think, to see if programming is something that might interest them. Because yeah, you're not you're not programming like C++ here, not like typing in the code. But I think the basics of it here, and Tom, you can speak better to this than I can, of course. You know, the basics of it here do seem to like be fundamentally similar to how it works in other more recent tool sets for making your own games.
Yeah, I've seen things like the ampersand, there it is right there, node on or a not node on. Like, you'll get basic ideas from programming that, or timers, and it's all very similar in other things, so I think a lot of it may translate over.
I hope so. Tom, any final thoughts at all about Game Builder Garage from this trailer before we wrap it up here?
It's just going to be interesting to see what the limits of it are. And sometimes limits and constraints are good, so that's where the trade-off is, like being able to do anything, being able to be limited. So exciting to see the potential of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it's obviously, like I said before, this is kind of like Nintendo's version of Dreams. Obviously, this isn't going to the same distance Dreams is, where you can, like, every dream looks almost distinct from every other. Whereas here, like, you're largely using the same assets from game to game beyond, you know, the ones you create yourself. So I think this is inherently more limited, but I think out of those limitations can be born like some really creative things too. You know, like, what is the famous saying? Like, limitations are the mother of invention, or something to that effect. Yes. And we've already seen some incredible things made, as I said before, in Labo VR's Garage Mode. Like, someone remade Bob-omb Battlefield, someone else made Donkey Kong in there, some other guy made Super Hot in this, and that just blows my mind. So I really can't wait to see what people make with this. And the fact that we can share them this time and play them is super exciting. So I really can't wait, especially because we didn't even know about this game like just a couple weeks ago, and now it's going to be here in just a few weeks more. Like, how cool is that? So
yeah, and talking about how it's based off, you know, Labo Garage, it's just building on that. So it's not like the first time. A lot of problems with that might have been there, Nintendo would have fixed for this one.
Exactly. Alright everyone, that's it for our discussion, but what do you think about Game Builder Garage? Are you excited for it? Are you more excited now than you were before? Let us know by posting in the comments below, especially if you have some game ideas of your own. We'd love to hear what you're planning on building in this, or going to try to build at least. And with that, thanks for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and of course check out the other videos on the right for other stuff or other content from GameXplain. With that, we'll catch you later. Bye everyone!